Howdy folks, and welcome back to another Members First deck profile. This week, we had our members vote, and it was a bit of a tie. It was a tie between DM Kimera and Black War Gray, and I decided to go ahead and go with DM Kimera because, I mean, it's just cool. It's a cool deck. It's pretty fun. Some neat stuff that it does, and you know, it's one that I feel like we don't get to see too often. So I figured I'd show it off a little bit, what my current build is for it. For all the Black War Gray fans out there, I'm sorry. You know, admittedly, he's kind of in a tough spot right now. I'm still trying to work out a list that works well, but it's hard with Howdy, man. Like, you can't, it sits right beneath your levels to get protection. It just, DP reduces you into oblivion, and you just kind of suffer. It's hard. It can be very, very hard. And they're also just incessant. Like, they don't stop. So, yeah. So DM Kimera is what we're going with. Shout out to all our members for supporting us on the channel. We appreciate you very, very much. Thank you. You are lovely, beautiful people. To anyone who watches this video when it goes public, thank you for checking out the video. Hopefully you have a good time. Hopefully you enjoy this content. Hopefully the profile helps give you a place to start or some inspiration. You have some fun with it, whatever. You know, all positive vibes. And, you know, if you don't like it or if there's things you would critique, let me know. Let me know in the comment section down below what you would do, what you think would work better. What do you think would be cool? You know, give some constructive criticism. That's always a good thing. I think that does it for that. Otherwise, if you're checking out this video and you're checking out other videos, be sure to leave a like. If you enjoy this content, if you're sticking around, please be sure to subscribe. Have a good time. Watch our other content. We have plenty of match play videos between Digimon and Gundam now. You know, we're still cooking on the Digi train with deck check and deck profiles as well for that. So yeah, that's about everything there. Let's go ahead and jump into the profile. So kicking things off, first things first. We're running 4 copies of the EX9 Tsunomon. So this is all going to be a lot of EX9 stuff. I won't linger too long on this stuff because I have gone over this before in previous profiles. But the Tsunomon's really nice, right? It's just when you place a card, a face down card in your sources, if you have the V2 trait, or sorry, this Digimon may Digivolve into a V2 trait card in the hand with the cost reduced by 1. So it just makes it opens up some options for you to kind of go up some of your main line pieces pretty efficiently. Namely the Garuru and the Vademons. Actually, shout out a little bit to Eddie from our sort of local area around here, and his crew. I played against this actually at Sully's story. Well, not this. I played against a like machine DM deck that was running a lot of version 2 stuff using Vademon. That is what inspired me to adjust my build to do this. To have some access to those sort of plays, because it was very efficient and it was very in your face, and you basically had to answer bodies on the board, otherwise you would just kind of like fall behind, and it was really hard. So shout out to you. Thank you for the inspiration for my adjustments to my build. But yeah, the Tsunomon's really nice just for the cost reduction Evo to go into V2 trade cards. It helps out and just makes you a bit more efficient at all that stuff. Jumping into rookies, 2 copies of BO. Just having the raid inherit is nice. 4 copies of the Gabumon from EX9. Just a good searcher, right? We'll reveal top 3, grabs a DM trait card and a card with the V2 trait. But we're just wanting the extra jamming inherit. And then same thing with Betamon here, the 4 of. We just want the jamming inherit again. Just having the jamming inherit makes it so that we can swing with our 4s and just keep pushing damage and pressure and force our opponents to have to answer the bodies on board. Ideally, you want to put these pieces in the trash, so having them. So my initial thoughts, like with my old, if you look at my old DM Kimera deck that I'm pretty sure I put a profile up on the channel before. If I didn't, I definitely had a list that I was considering and talked about it with Ben, but then never actually did it. But my old thought process was I want to swing and die into security, so I'm putting as many cards in the trash as fast as possible. The reality is now, with the state that the card game is in, there's so much natural removal to what people do that they will have to remove your bodies while they're doing their plays. And if they can't, then you just keep pushing more pressure, which I think you need to be able to do to just start swinging early and start chipping as much as you can with this deck. And because we have other means of putting cards in the trash too, thanks to things like Analog Youth, and other cards like Fragment on Vademon, such like that. Not to mention also the stuff that we can pitch from hand using things like Ogremon. So we have means of putting cards in the trash otherwise. Also with this powerful new promo option here as well. So just being able to keep a body on the board that's really annoying and hard to deal with just makes it like it puts your opponent on a clock, right? You put pressure on them, you're forcing them to have to respond, and sometimes that will make them make unoptimal plays, and that can just benefit for you. Otherwise, you're just fast enough to just keep going. So that's why we want as many of those jamming hits as possible. We're only running 10 rookies because we need a lot of room for level 4s, so that way we can make Kimeramon work, because we need to be able to find 7 ones with the DM trait that have different names. So that's why you're going to see a lot of 1-ofs and 2-ofs in this list. Jumping into our 4 lineup, first one we have is Kimeramon here. He places a card from the top of your deck face down. Gets plus 1k for each face down card. If it's face down, or yeah, for each face down card until your opponent's turn ends, and then plus 2k inherit. So he's just a nice DP boost. A lot of these are mostly here for their inherits. A few of these are actually really good cards for their actual effects. He's not really one of them. He's mostly here for the plus 2k DP inherit, because you definitely need some DP sometimes if you just don't find the jamming. And also just another name to have. But aside from that, like also having the DP boost to swing over bodies for Kimeramon is really, really nice. Next up, 1 copy of Tuskmon. This guy's pretty good. Lets you place a card from your hand face down to pop something 4,000 DP or less, and gives you the raid inherit, so that's really, really nice. 4 copies of Garurumon is pretty solid, right? It gives you that jamming inherit, and then you can place a card from your hand face down to then go ahead and trash any 1 Digivolution card for each of your opponent, or from your opponent's Digimon for each of the face down cards you have in your sources. So it just helps you kind of strip out those larger kind of stack deck bodies right now, right? We do have a fair number of decks that like to get a decent chunk of inheritables under them, but being able to strip those sources, sometimes strip an ace, can be really, really powerful and really effective for doing what you need to do. This mostly comes up against Jessamon more than anything else. It can be effective against Gallant, but with Gallant you have to be, you know, you typically have to send turnover, which won't really work out because it's effects. Otherwise, it's tough. So that's it for that there. Next up, we run 1 copy of Airdramon. The barrier inherit can be nice at times if we're, you know, just depending on the situation that we're in. And then otherwise, you can place your deck's top face down card as your bottom source to go ahead and give minus 2,000 DP for each of your face down Digivolution cards for the turn, which is honestly really strong, right? Like going up your line, you can very easily get like 2 or 3 cards face down under him, so you can just minus 6k on something, which can be enough to just clear a lot of bodies nowadays, or get them low enough for you to clear them by him swinging over at 5k DP or something else, right? Like it's really good. It's pretty solid. It's pretty effective. Aside from that, next up we run 1 copy of Angemon, who has on play on Evo. You can place 1 card face down from your hand to give one of your opponents sec -1 and minus 3,000 DP until their turn ends, which is just really nice. It's, you know, it doesn't do it like a number based on how many each face down cards you have, but it's just good to be able to kind of just get that effect going. And then have the undeletion inherit of if you have 3 of your security cards recover 1. This just can kind of help you stay in the game longer at times. It doesn't come up the most, but when it does, it can be helpful. But for the most part, just being able to have the chance to give sec -1 off an on play or on Evo can be nice. And the minus 3k can help as well with keeping your body on the board. Next up, we run 1 copy of Unimon. This card's actually really, really good. I like this card a lot. So you place 1 card from your hand face down as your bottom source. Then if you have as many or fewer security cards as this Digimon's face down Digivolution cards, you recover 1. So you won't recover 1 for each that you're more than, but it just helps you kind of recover and get back into the fight a bit again. Just having some of that recovery access with how fast the game is now can be really, really helpful. And then the minus 2k DP inherit can be really nice as well for, you know, certain situations on what you're trying to do when you finally try and go for your Kimeramon, or if it's tucked under your Skullgray or Evademons. Next up, 1 copy of Kabuterimon. This card's actually really good. This card actually is what I think kind of put the nail in the coffin on me. It's at the Sully Store Regional. But on play on Evo, you place a card from your hand face down as your bottom source, and then you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It can't unsuspend in the next unsuspend phase. So of course, if they have a means of unsuspending otherwise, then, you know, they can do it. But if they don't, you just lock them down and they are stuck there. And then on attack, you can go ahead and suspend one of your opponent's Digimon with the inherit, which can be helpful depending on how your board state looks. But honestly, just a really good card, and having that on play on Evo is very, very nice. Kuwagamon is literally the same effect as Kabuteri, except it's on play when attacking. So you can actually Evo this guy in the back, push up, and then do the swing and do the whole thing where you lock something down, which is really, really good. Just having the toolbox utility to kind of swap what you're doing is really nice. And then it also has the chance to giving you the piercing inherit, which can be helpful with our DP boost, our DP reductions, and other things that we have in this deck to help us control board while still dealing damage. Next up, 2 copies of the Monochromon. I actually really want to run more of this guy because he's always just been phenomenal. But unfortunately, it's just deck space is tight and you need to just try and find room where you can. I'm still adjusting ratios, so if somebody has like better ratios for this, let me know. But on playing on attack, you place 1 card in your hand face down as bottom source to go ahead and D-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. Having D-Digivolve off of a on play and on attack effect on a level 4 is just insane. It's very, very strong. And then he also gives you the blocker inherit, which can come up sometimes. But more than anything, yeah, the D-Digivolve effect is just really, really powerful just for setting you up. I've used this so many times to remove things off the board or set things up to be removed off the board that it's just pretty much won me games. And he's just a phenomenal card. He's just very, very good because you can just set him up in the back and then just be super aggressive with him. You can spit him out off of Skull Graze on deletion effect to go ahead and just de-digivolve something and possibly keep turn. It's just very powerful. It's a good effect. Next up, one copy of Ogremon from EX9. On Evo on attack, you can place one card from your hand face down as bottom source to delete something that's level 4 or lower, which is really, really good. There's a lot of level 4 or lower Digimon in the meta right now, so this guy can clear a lot of bodies off the board. And then it also gives you that really nice inheritive drawing and trashing one, which just helps you cycle more, right? Just lets you trash more for other Chimera plays and other stuff like that. It's just a very, very good effect. But he's very strong. He's a very powerful card. I love using him whenever I get the chance to. I've used him in other decks as well for purple stuff. He's just a very, very powerful card that can do lots of cool things. And then rounding out our level 4 lineup, we run one copy of the Digimon from EX9, who has on attack. By placing your deck's top face down card as your bottom source, you delete one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. For every 2 of this Digimon's face down cards, you add one of this effect level's maximum. The fact that this guy doesn't have a cap on how high his level deletion can go can actually be really, really important for clearing out even big bodies. Because if you use certain things like Sunamon's effect to Evo or not Sunamon's effect, sorry. Meat effect along with Analog Youth and stuff like that, you can place a lot of cards under him very quickly to just rapidly make it so he can pop a level 5 or a level 6 at times if you get there. Which is good, which is very, very nice effect to have. And then Inheritive Retaliation is just super helpful. It's very nice to have for after we do our swings with Chimera, because we typically don't unsuspend, so we'll usually be suspended stuck there. So being able to have Retal in the stack to force our opponent to have to probably lose their body or waste a protection or whatever when they do their thing can be very, very nice. And just helps you just be more like you're a harder problem to solve, right? Which we want to be. That's very, very nice to have. Jumping into level 5s. 2 copies of the Vademon from BT-22. This card is cracked. This card is broken. It is dumb. It is a dumb card. When any of your version 2 trait Digimon would digivolve into this card, for each of its face down cards, you reduce the cost by 1. He evolves for 4 normally, or a DM trait card for 4. Guru is a V2, so he reduces the cost there pretty well. Otherwise, you can reduce the cost by other means with other cards in your deck, but he's very, very powerful. Then on Evo and on attack, once per turn, you de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and then by trashing your bottom face down Digivolution card, return one of your opponent's play cost 4 or lower Digimon or Tamers to the hand. So the fact that you can bounce Digimon and Tamers to hand, play cost 4 or lower is huge. There's a lot of play cost 4 Tamers out there, and being able to bounce them to hand can be really, really annoying. I'm usually in the camp of bouncing to hand isn't always the most effective, but when it comes to bouncing Tamers to hand, especially against certain decks in the meta right now, that is actually impactful. The Digimon part, maybe not as much, but the Tamer bouncing can be huge. So it's a very, very good effect to have there. And then he has the inherit of opponent's turn. Once per turn, when one of your opponent's Digimon attacks, you may change the attack target to this Digimon. That effect is not gonna come up. He can't be placed as a means of assembly off of Chimera. There's no means of tucking him face up underneath Kimeramon, so that effect does not matter, unfortunately. But just having him to kind of like help you kind of play that mid-range mid-game while you're trying to set up trash for Chimera can just be really, really good. And the fact that he can just consistently keep doing it by swinging is very powerful. It's a very, very strong effect. Jumping into our next level 5 here, 3 copies of the Skull Greymon from EX9. This card is just like your main engine for fueling your trash for Kimeramon. So he has on play and on Evo. For each of your face down sources, you're able to trash top card of your deck. Then you may return one DM trait Digimon card from your trash to the hand. So this helps us grab back our Chimeras from trash if we mill them off of his effect. And then on deletion, you can play one level 4 lower DM trait Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. So this is where I was talking about where like he can die and you can play out things like Kabuteri, Kuwaga, Monocro, Garuru, stuff like that. Angemon. Like there's a lot of cards you can play out to just kind of either give you some search off of Gabu or spit out other bodies to help lock down the board, de-digivolve things, DP reduce things, sec -1 things. Like it's very good. It's very, very nice to have. And then he also has the nice effect of he's also treated as level 4 for Chimeramon's assembly. So when you put him in the trash, you can use him as one of the assembly pieces for Chimera's effect, which will give you the inheritive on deletion. You can play a level 4 or lower Digimon card with the DM trait from your trash without paying the cost, which means even if they answer your Chimera, like if you have him tucked in there with like Devimon or something else, right? If they like swing, retail, die to you, you're still going to spit out another body. And then you can just keep pushing in aggression or even finding a new means of going into another Chimera right away, which is really good. It's a very, very strong effect. Jumping from there into our big boss monster himself, our last level 5 is our 4 copies of Kimeramon. So he has Rush and Sec +1. On play and on Evo, you may place one level 4 lower DM trait card from your trash as this Digimon's top Digivolution card. Then you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the same color as any of this Digimon's Digivolution cards. If this Digimon has 6 or more colors in its Digivolution cards, instead delete one of each of your opponent's Digimon with different colors. So keep in mind, like, you have to be very mindful how you choose these effects, but it can be very, very powerful, and in some instances can actually help you board wipe people, depending on the deck you're playing against nowadays, which nowadays there are a lot of multicolored decks out there that tend to wideboard, so you're pretty effective at doing that. And then he also has the all turns effect of he gets plus 1,000 DP for each color in his sources. So typically, because of the other colors we have, we can hit about 16k. We can go higher than that with some of our other DP boosts, like the Greymon, for example, with the plus 2k. But it is very nice just to have access to that and the ability to potentially, like, you know, just be this big, like, 16 to 18k beast that's swinging in for 2 checks into security, and doing what he wants to do. And keep in mind his assembly effect is 7 level 4 DM trait Digimon cards with different names. And so it has to be level 4, they have to be DM trait, and they have to have different names. So you just have to keep all that in mind when you are doing these plays. But you will typically play him for 3 because you're reducing the cost by 1 for each of those cards you're placing. And you have to have all of them or none of them. You can't. It's not like Digi-Crossing where you can choose any number. You have to have all 7 to be able to actually do the full assembly. So you'll drop him for 3 with Rush and go crazy. Jumping from there, going into Tamers+Options here, we're on 2 copies of the Analog Man from EX9. He's just a good memory setter. Helps us guarantee that 3 memory so that way we can drop Chimera and keep turn. And then during our turn, whenever we play a 7 cost or higher Cyborg, Machine, or DM trait Digimon, which he is a 10 cost, so he does apply to this. You can suspend this Tamer to draw 1 and gain a memory, and then you may place 1 card from your hand face down as any of those Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards. So it just helps you set up your trash more with future effects if you're trying to just put certain cards in the trash. And it's just really good for that. Okay, on to the next card. We're running 4 copies of EX1 Analog Youth. This card's just really good still for helping us just put cards in the trash. We have a lot of Digimon pieces that we don't mind picking up, a lot of cards we don't mind putting in the trash. And on top of that too, since we do typically climb to our level 5s pretty quickly, and we're constantly sitting at level 5s with plenty of sources, having this guy up for when one of them gets deleted just helps it so that we can threaten to steal turn. We can potentially gain more memory to do Chimera plays on our turn. There's a lot of different things it opens up access to. So just a very powerful card there. And then we're running 2 copies of the EX9 Analog Youth. This guy's just still really good for helping us build more sources in our stack, right? So you place a card from your hand face down as any of your DM trait Digimon's bottom sources. And then your turn, when face down cards are placed as any of your Digimon's Digivolution cards, by suspending this Tamer, you gain a memory. Then if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, you draw 1. And then during your opponent's turn, all of your Digimon with face down Digivolution cards gain reboot, which can be really, really nice for helping us keep our Chimeras alive. So just lots of very powerful effects that he offers in terms of consistency, memory gain, stack building, and giving us reboot. It's just a very, very strong card. Honestly, he's cracked. He's a crack card. And then moving into options, we run 4 copies of Meat. It's just DM training. That's basically what it is. It's training option for DM, right? Place a card face down, you with the cost reduced by 2. Stuff like that. And then from security, you get to draw 1 and then place in the battle area, which is really nice. It's very, very good for just helping you kind of, you know, find your pieces. And then the last card in the deck is probably the best bit of support that we have gotten for this deck, is going to be the Insane Synthetic Monster card. So while you have a Digimon or Tamer with a DM trait on the field, you can ignore this card's color requirements, which, you know, we have a decent amount of DM. I mean, you're going to have it. It's very easy to do. Everything has DM trait for Digimon wise. We have Analog Man and Analog Youth from EX9 that also have the DM trait. So it's very easy to hit the requirement for this. It's 3 cost option. So you'll draw 2, trash 2 cards in your hand, and then you place this card in the battle area. And then on your turn, by deleting one of your play cost 7 or lower Digimon, which pretty much all of them are except for Vademon and Chimera, you may play 1 Digimon card with Kimeramon or Millenniummon in its name from your trash with the play cost reduced by 3. So he basically makes it so you have a free Kimeramon, right? Instead of having to pay that 3 cost for Chimera, you then pay 0. It is a 0 cost Chimera because when you use this, you will typically be doing his assembly off of it. So you'll be able to go ahead and reduce your play cost down to 3, and then you further reduce it with from 3 to 0 with this option. And then out of security, you still just do the draw 2, trash 2 in your hand, then place this card in the battle area. There are 4 copies of this. I'm sorry, I'm blocking the numbers, so people are going to have to just wait and see at this point. I'll leave this card up on the screen for a second for people that just are skimming through the video so you can see. But there are 4 copies of this card because it is just that powerful, because it's good when you hit out of security. It's good if you just have it in hand. It's a consistency piece. It sets up trash. It's very, very powerful. It's also very good for Millenniummon. right? I mean, it works. If you're playing a Millenniumon deck, this card's also very good in that, but you also have the Millenniumon option that's also very good for it as well, which, you know, they have a lot of options they can use now. But this card in particular is very, very strong for this deck and helps it out immensely. But yeah, so it's going to be the list. That's everything I got for you guys today for DM Kimera. You know, the deck's fun. The deck is very, very fun. I think its biggest issue is that it just suffers from being a little bit too slow, and its strategy is typically to chip, to try and either put cards in your trash or put pressure on your opponent. And chip strategies just aren't the greatest right now, right? That's why like OTKs are all like the top tier things, or loops that lead to OTKs are the top tier things right now, because when you're chipping into your opponent's security, if you're not winning the game on that turn, you will have a very strong chance of just giving them the resources they need to then clap back way harder on you, and it can just take you out of the game. But when you don't hit the pieces that they want to see out of security, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. The deck is definitely a good bit faster thanks to that new Insane Synthetic Monster option card, right? This one right here. And it has definitely some better utility now, with Vademon being a DM trait card that we have access to. But, you know, just running this list has been pretty fun so far. It's definitely a fun deck, I think, to take the locals. I don't know if I'd ever see it do super well at like any big tournament events. I don't think it would. But it's very, very fun, and I definitely recommend, if you have the pieces for it and you're just looking for like a fun, low to the ground sort of like utility toolbox rush deck that can, you know, still put in some decent work, give it a try. Give it a shot. I think Kimeramon's, I think this whole deck, probably just looking at the cards in here, is pretty cheap. I mean, your only SRs are Analog Youth, and that's it. That is literally the only SR card in here. And then Chimera's a secret, but I think he's like $5, something like that. So it's a fun deck. It is a fun deck to mess around with. I definitely recommend it to anyone who has a chance. And yeah, I think that's going to be about do it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the content. Again, if you have any suggestions or updates to list or your own DM Kimera list, please let me know. Post them in our Discord. You can find the Discord link in the video description down below. And don't forget to give the video a like if you enjoyed this profile, and subscribe to the channel to stick around to see more Digimon and Gundam content that we have for you guys. That's about does it. I'm going to head out, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye!